Okay, this one is still Chapter 5 study guide, and we are working on operant conditioning. Changed my video around a little bit. I don't know if that's better or worse position. So I'm going to be looking up a lot at the notes in my screen to go over the questions. We are looking at operant conditioning, and I think it's number 17. I'm not sure how these are numbered because I don't have any numbers. I just have bullet points. So I think it's number 17. But it's define operant conditioning. Operant conditioning is another way that life changes us. We did classical conditioning where we connect two experiences together and we react to both of them the same way. Now we are looking at how consequences change our behavior. We do a behavior and then there's a consequence back to us as a result of that behavior. It might be on purpose and it might be just on accident. It might be natural. Nobody did it on purpose, but a lot of times we do this on purpose so that we can change your behavior. This is more intentional a lot of times than classical conditioning. Someone is probably specifically using operant conditioning on purpose to modify your behavior. They're usually called parents, teachers, criminal justice system, your boss, but it's also your friends, your spouse, your kids are using it on you, you use it on your dog, everybody uses it on each other. So it's learning through consequences. There's an action. You have to do something, and then there's a response back for what you did because of what you did. So that's it's an active part. You do something, and then a response happens back to you. Where classical conditioning is often unintentional. This is intentional. All right, number 18. Okay. So what we're believing is that the kind of consequence you experience will determine whether you do the behavior again or not. If you get a good consequence, you'll do the behavior again. If you have a bad consequence, you won't do the behavior again. Simple, right? All right, so if it's a good consequence, we call it reinforcer. And actually, you know what? I think we have a video on this section, so I'm going to go through it kind of quickly. I'm just going to answer the questions here, but go watch that video. So I'm going to put that in here right now. Star. See video in Moodle called, what do I call it? My lecture on operant conditioning video. My lecture on operant conditioning video. Okay, so do that right now before we get going. Okay. All right, so that video has a board with it too, and it goes over all the details of the different kinds of consequences, the good, the bad, the reinforcement, the punishment kind of stuff. But I'm going to answer these questions here on the study guide because that's what we're supposed to do. Number 18, what are reinforcers? Reinforcer is anything that increases a behavior, strengthens it, makes it more likely to happen. It's what you like. We are happy with reinforcers. We like reinforcers. We want to do whatever it took to get that reinforcer to happen to us again. So if we do an action and a reinforcement happens back, we're going to do that behavior again. It strengthens or increases the behavior. It's a good consequence. Number 18, what effect does it's still under 18, I think. I don't have it numbered. What effect does a reinforcer have on behavior? It increases it, strengthens it, makes it more likely to happen. Number 19, we're going to define these terms. Positive reinforcement, which is, so there's two kinds of reinforcement. The other video goes into this. Positive and negative. And this throws students for a loop. Positive reinforcement is getting something you like. Negative reinforcement is taking away something you don't like. You really need to go watch that video to learn about this, okay? If you're only looking at this one and you think you're going to get it, I guess you could, but it's not likely. But I'm just answering the questions here. So the difference is positive is getting something, negative is having something removed. And I do all that in the other video. Number 20, how are positive reinforcers and negative reinforcers alike? They both increase behavior. They both are reinforcers. And we like reinforcers. So we're going to do the behavior again to have the reinforcer happen for us. So they both increase behavior. Number 21, I hope it's 21. How are positive reinforcers and negative reinforcers different? One gives you something, one takes away something. That's how they're different. But they have the same effect of increasing or strengthening our behavior. Number 22, what's a punisher? It's anything that decreases behavior. It's a bad consequence. It's something we don't like. If we do something and something happens as a response to that, and we don't like it, we won't do it again. We don't like the outcome. So that's what does a punisher have on behavior? It decreases it. Number 23, describe two kinds of punishment. There's positive punishment. Now your book calls it punishment by application. That just means we're applying something to your life that you don't like. We're spanking, we're yelling, we're hitting, we're embarrassing you. We're giving you something bad. That's what positive means, when we're giving you something. Or punishment by application, we're applying something you don't like. And then negative punishment, or punishment by withdrawal or removal, that's taking away something that you do like. They're both bad. We don't like either one of them. We don't want either one of them to happen. And if they do, we're not likely to do the behavior again because we don't like the consequence. And I think I give you examples in that video. Positive punishment example we already gave you. Having pain added to your life, stubbing your toe, hitting your knuckle on something, you're not going to do that again. Whatever you did to bang your knuckle, you're not going to do it again. Be more careful. Positive or negative punishment or punishment by removal, being grounded, having your car taken away, having to pay a fine, you're losing your money. So those are examples of having something taken away. See how you don't like either one of them? Ugh. Number 24. Maybe I numbered these correctly. Does generalization, discrimination, extinction, spontaneous recovery apply to operant conditioning? Yes, it does. Yep. An example. So you learn in class, if you raise your hand, you get the teacher's attention. And maybe you're out on the playground with your little kid, and there's a group of you, and you want to say something. Maybe you raised your hand. Hey, everybody laughed at you. Ha, ha, ha. Why are you raising your hand? Ha, ha, ha. So we take what we've learned from the classroom, and we've generalized it to other situations. It gave us what we wanted in this situation, so if we want the same thing, we're going to do it over here too. If you study one way in social studies and it works, you're probably going to try the same method in science. Generalized. Discrimination, yeah, we may learn that we got to study a whole different way in science than we did in social studies. You learn don't raise your hand when you're trying to talk with your friends. That's silly. Extinction, yeah, you keep raising your hand in class and teachers isn't calling you, you won't raise your hand anymore. Spontaneous recovery is when maybe you raise your hand and after a while a teacher never calls on you. You may find one day you want to say something, you raise your hand again, even though you learned it was pointless. So yeah, they happen for operant condition too. And the last kind of learning we don't give much attention to because it's just so easy. And it's just learning, observational learning, number 25. It's just learning through watching what someone else does. Psychologists used to believe that you had to have the consequence happen to you to learn. Or you had to have the classical conditioning happen directly to you to learn. And other psychologists came in and said, no, we don't need it to happen to us. We can see it happen to somebody else and go, ugh, I don't want that outcome. I'm not going to do that. You see your brother or sister write on the wall and get in trouble. You decide you're not going to do that because you don't want the same consequence they got. Or maybe your brother or sister made straight A's and they got some toy and you go, hey, I want that. You can watch what happens to somebody else and change your behavior because of that. You're driving down the road and someone's pulled over on the side of the road with a cop behind them. Woo, you slow down. You don't have to get the ticket. You can learn by seeing someone else get busted. It's like middle school or junior high obstacle course in PE. You didn't really know what to do, so you wanted somebody else to go in front of you so you could watch them. Then you knew what you were supposed to do. Observational learning. Monkey see, monkey do. It's the easiest one. So there's not much, we don't spend much time in that because that operant classical is just troublesome. Well, that's all the answers to the study guide. You need to go watch those 2 videos that I put in Moodle before about classical conditioning, the 5 elements, those stimuli response things, and then operant conditioning. the kinds of consequences. There are lots of practice things in Moodle. I'm going to turn around and show you the class here. Under, I'll just turn the camera around. Oh, I don't see how to turn the camera around. That's weird. So I'll try to do it here myself. See, in online resources, you've got, starting right here, online practice quiz for chapter 5. These are some funny videos on classical conditioning. Some more videos online. This is a little practice test. Elements of classical conditioning practice. So it gives you some options to practice here, and then the answers to it right below it. There's another option to practice and the answers to it. That's weird. Oh, one's a link and one's a document. Okay, all right. Then there's, I think, the same things in here, so maybe you want to ignore it. This is a photograph of classical conditioning from the board that I've taken in another class. And this is a photograph of operant conditioning board that I've taken from another class. Those go along with these lectures that are down here in chapter notes. My lecture on classical conditioning, my lecture on operant conditioning. Okay, so you can't see all this. Let me show you the student view. Student. There, that looks more like what you see. Okay, you don't see those things that are hidden. I'm going to be open up chapter 5 notes. That'll go right here, and then these are underneath of it. These are the videos I've been referring to. Okay, there's lots of practice here. And this is where I've been putting the answers to the study guides after we go over them. I put them in a document form in case you don't have the internet at the time. And then well, of course, how would you get in Moodle? But if you want to download it or something, and then the link, it's all the same. All right. That's it, chapter 5. You really need to practice this stuff. Can't emphasize that enough. It's the hardest chapter. After this is downhill, so don't lose faith. Give it a whirl. Remember on the forum, you weren't punished for bad answers, just incomplete answers. And we're done.